How we actually decide what will be built is a lot of it comes from our community groups. It's a really great place because actually people help each other out so much. But also in a place people would say like what they're missing or whatever feedback they have on their products. So really based on that feedback, that's how we decide kind of what we will build next or what we'll add on the software.
Welcome to the Epic A11y Podcast, where we deep dive into accessibility, tech, and life from a blind and visually impaired perspective. Today, I'm excited to share with you an interview I did with some people at Hable, and I won't say their name, you'll find out why. I've made some videos on the Hable One, an unboxing and a review. You can watch those on YouTube. The goal with this interview was less about the actual product and more about its backstory and the future plans. So without further ado, here was that interview, and I will meet back up with you on the other side. So thank you so much for joining me today. Could you go ahead and introduce yourselves and what you do at Hable? Some of your names are a little more challenging, so I will let you introduce yourselves.
That's great. Hi, Carrie. It's great to be here. So my name is Freek, which is indeed a horrible name to pronounce outside of the Netherlands. My name is Freek, and I'm one of the founders.
My name is Roshni. It's an Indian name. Most people butcher it. It's fine. And I'm a business development manager at Hable.
Awesome. I'm glad that I have a simple name, just
Yeah.
Carrie.
I think we're all glad to.
Recommend it.
Tell me a little bit about Hable and what you guys do.
Yeah, of course. So Hable, we are a company based in the Netherlands. It was founded in 2020. And at Hable, we focus on making smartphones more accessible for people with a visual impairment. And at the moment, we're mostly known for the Hable One, which is a controller for the phone that with physical buttons makes you able to control any phone or tablet. That's a quick summary of what we do.
How did Hable begin? What's the story behind it? How did it all start?
So I am one of the two founders of Hable. Hable is two co-founders. And my co-founder's name is Ayushman. And Ayushman, he grew up in India, where he lived together with his grandfather. And his grandfather lost his vision at the age of 40. And Ayush really was very close with him. So he would read the newspaper to him, help him make phone calls, do all these different things together. But then at some point, Ayush moved to the Netherlands to come and study in the Netherlands. And he realized he could no longer really be in touch with just his grandfather. So whenever he would call home, there would always be his grandmom or his mother or someone helping his grandfather to make that phone call. And he said, well, there should be something or some way that I can help him make the phone call by himself. And that's where the first idea of Hable was born. And that was back in 2018 already. So it was really a project next to his studies. I met Ayushman in 2018, loved the idea, I worked with him on the project. And we took it further. Roshni joined soon. And now we have a whole team of people working on this and really hoping to bring it to a next level.
So how did it come from a way that you wanted it to be easier for his grandfather to access a phone to something physical and tactile? How did that go?
Well, to be completely honest, we made all the mistakes you would make as a first-time founder and startup. So when we started, we just started with something. I think we started with like a phone case that had buttons, but we would just like the technical side. We are people with a technical background, so we would just develop certain things. And then after a half year, we realized, hey, maybe we also need to actually test this with people that would use it. And once we did that, we realized, we've done everything wrong. So we had to go and start all over again. And we did that a few times. So every time we built something, we went back to people that would use it. And then they would tell us, okay, this is horrible, this is bad, destroy this, throw this away. But after doing it a few times, some people said, hey, yeah, well, this might, now you're maybe onto something. And that's where it really took shape. So we had to do a lot of iterations and a lot of prototyping to eventually we really understood what was needed and how people would work with it and for who it would be, because it's of course not for everyone with a visual impairment, just for a specific group. So that's how it takes shape. So we did making a lot of mistakes, and we're still doing that. But now we have a great community that's doing a lot of testing for us and giving us feedback, and that just makes it a lot easier to build on it.
What are some of those fun iterations that people said were terrible?
Yeah, so
I'm really curious.
Yeah, the first version was actually taped on the back of a smartphone.
Taped?
Yeah, like actual duct tape. And I can tell you that's not ideal because then it becomes like a big brick and you can't really take it off. And and it was a cable in the phone. So of course now we connect with Bluetooth, which is great because it's stable. You can like have your phone somewhere in the house, you can still use it. But we first had a cable that you would have to put into your phone, and it would just go loose, and then it would be different cables for different phones and all these
Yeah,
things.
and another one was also
Yeah.
the buttons were a lot smaller than it is now. So you can
Oh yeah,
imagine the feedback we got on that.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Enough mistakes made.
Well, I think it's really great that you actually worked with the community and found out all those mistakes instead of just coming out with whatever it was and then just finding out after. So I think that's great. And how did you come up with the name Hable and Hable One? Where did that come from?
So the name Hable actually comes from the Spanish word of speaking, and it's really because it's about connecting for us. Hable is about making sure you can stay connected with others, right? That's where it all started with the grandfather from Ayush, and he just wanted to connect to his grandson. So we're all about connecting, and that's where Able speaking Spanish comes from. And then we like that it has the word able in there because we enable people to be independent and autonomous.
Gotcha. And is there going to be a Hable 2 since there's a Hable 1?
Well, the name would suggest so. Let's say I can't say a lot about a Hable 2, but it might be there in the future. I won't be able to say anything about it right now.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just wondering since one says one,
Yeah.
if we were going to continue this naming scheme.
Yeah, the name Hable One, I think when they said it, I was not here when that happened. I honestly think it was just a setup, like maybe just in case we want more products, it's a setup. Then we could call it Hable 2 and it's easy.
Or a lack
Gotcha.
of creativity, yeah. That's
Well, I'm glad it's one and not like 4460 XTZ or something like that. So, a lot of technology companies, they have just some crazy naming schemes. Right now, the Hable works with iOS and Android. Are there any possible plans for developing it for Windows or Mac for at least typing?
Actually, typing right now it already supports some of the computers. I think Windows, for example, is supported right now with typing.
It's the Chrome tab, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. But kind of how we actually decide what will be built is a lot of it comes from our community groups. So we have these groups, these mailing lists, and we have a lot of our members are very active on these groups. It's a really great place because actually people help each other out so much. But also in a place people would say like what they're missing or what whatever feedback they have on their products. So really based on that feedback, that's how we decide kind of what we will build next or what we'll add on the software. We have actually an app now on which we do software updates. So it's really easy to update the software. And for example, like working with a computer might be something in the future. I know it's not anything that we've announced at this point. But there are some really cool things coming up. Again, before I get into trouble with my co-founder, I won't say what these things are. But there are some actually really cool things coming in the next few months.
What do users love about Hable? What's their feedback?
So I think, well, actually, Roshni, you have worked and talked a lot with our users. So I think it's actually better if you.
Right now I'm the business development manager, but Carrie, when I spoke to you some time back, I was still more on the customer service role. So I spoke to quite a few people, and what I learned is they just love that they can get the maximum potential out of their smartphone. So the Hable One itself, like Freek mentioned in the beginning, it's targeted towards not everybody in the blindness community uses the Hable One. So there's a particular group, and this group, they know about the smartphone, they know how to use it somewhat, and they're somewhat familiar with voiceover or talkback and stuff. And when they get the Hable One in their hands, they're just like, I thought I knew how to use a phone. I thought I knew. But then they discover like how much more that they can do with their smartphone, how much more efficient they are. And that's, I think, like the core of it. That's what motivated us to keep building on this and make sure that we can try and do it for a lot more people.
I actually know this one of our users, and he also lives in the United States, Joshua. He's actually someone that he reached out to us and said, "Yeah, I've had an iPhone for a very long time, but to be honest, I just read messages on it. That's all and take phone calls. And I think there's a lot more people that have that they just do the basic things." And he said, "I just gave the Hable one a try. I didn't really expect anything." But well, I mean, he emails me almost every week saying, "Hey, I now found out how to do this and this." And last week he made the first purchase on Amazon, and then he learned how to work with an audio, like a music app. And then he actually did his emailing all on his phone. And I think those stories are something we hear a lot. Like if people just going from, hey, doing basic things on the phone to really using it for all sorts of things, navigation, doing your own finances, all these things. And I think that's really cool. It's really gets you from kind of like point A to point B and just being able to use a lot more aspects of the phone.
My favorite thing about my previous role was getting emails from people saying, "Hey, I wrote this with my Hable." That always put a smile on my face.
How would you define that community that can benefit the most from Hable?
There's really actually three groups that we see, very, very distinct groups. So one group is just people who have troubles using the phone right now because of the advanced gestures, like things like doing a rotor sign or doing the swiping gesture. Even for some people, it's just quite difficult to use this. And then we have to do several interactions. It's quite difficult. And there's a big group for who this is quite difficult. And for them, the Hable is really a tool to go from, hey, making it a lot easier because you now have physical buttons to use your device. So that's group one. They really use it to navigate on the phone and to be able to do a lot more on the phone. Then we have the second group. This second group is people who use Braille. So if you're a Braille user, the Hable one has Braille input. And this group just says, hey, I don't like writing short text, or like writing text on my phone because it's very slow. Dictation is not really private. And I would like to write text faster, but not carry a big keyboard. Well, Hable is just a way to type a lot faster using Braille as input. And you don't even need the surface to put it on. It's like a controller that you hold in the air. So for them, just typing fast. And funnily enough, most people get it for typing and typing text messages, but they actually love the navigation because they then will just keep their phone in their pocket or their bag and they just use the Hable one. And that's really cool. And the last group is simply students. So these are children really from the age of 6 till 25. And for them, often it's because it's just really fun to use. And Carrie, you'll probably know this. It's a little bit like game controller with these buttons. They're like really clicky. And they just really like this thing. It's like gaming on your phone. And you also learn some Braille with it. So it's just a really cool way to use your phone. And a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened with my 6-year-old, right? Like, I think I told Roshni, but he's like, oh, it has buttons. I'm going to press all the buttons. I'm going to try this out. And then soon enough, he was like typing in Braille. I'm like, what's going on? How did this happen? And I think it's just that attraction of those buttons.
Exactly. And it's the instant feedback, right? Like you type something, you hear it right away. And it's just a really fun way to engage with your phone and to learn typing in Braille as well.
Yeah, definitely.
One of our stories from our customers actually pretty early on, more than 2 years ago, was from the UK. And it was this kid named Daniel, and his dad like took a picture of him holding the Hable and sent it over on email to us. And he was like, hey, now he can like do his math homework with his Hable, and he really enjoys doing that. He can skip ads on his YouTube videos, and those stories really just keep us going, man. Like that was really good.
Yeah, he was on BBC Radio at some point.
True.
Even with Hable. Yeah, it was really cool.
What are some areas that you're hoping to improve?
Yeah, so I think the next months, so again, without saying too many things of what we'll actually do, but there will be some new things to connect with. So that will be exciting. So there will be not just a phone and a tablet, but there will be more things. What it is, I won't say. And then there's also the part that we will add a lot of new languages. So the cool thing with Hable One is that you can switch between languages really quickly, and because the translations are actually on the device, so not on the phone like with the Braille display. So there will be a lot of new languages added, and there's a lot of actually tutorials and videos coming out on how to do specific things, like how to send an email, how to make a phone call. And they're really like they're fun to watch. They're quick, but they do also explain it. And I think that's actually one that's been requested out the most. People have like specific questions. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do this. So we said, hey, we'll just make a whole database of these kind of videos and tutorials. So that's what will be coming up in the coming months.
Is there any last words that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, what I would say is, so the Hable One is really unique in the sense that it's not like another keyboard that you put down, or it's not like a keyboard where you actually that you're used to. It's sometimes a little bit hard to imagine what it looks like, how you use it. So what I would advise to people, say if you're new to, if you've never tried it, see if there's a place where you can give it a try. If you can trial it at one, there's a lot of centers for example, in the US, but also in other countries where you can actually try the Hable One completely for free. And that's something I would really recommend because it's such a different thing. But in the first few minutes, you'll really get the hang of it. And you'll see if it's something for you, yes or no. So my advice would be see if there's a way you can actually give it a try if you've never used it. Because for a lot of people, they think when they hear about it, it's not for me. But when you give it a try, it's really cool. So that would be my advice to people that are curious about it. If you don't know which centers or where to find it and try it out, just send us an email at Hable. You'll find our contact details on Hable, and we can direct you to places where you can actually give it a free trial.
And also something that we really believe in is if it doesn't work for you, we will never push it. So even if, say, you do not get it for free somewhere near you, if you purchase it and it doesn't work, then we never it refunds all the way.
Oh, and good. You can actually join our forums. They're open with our users who have bought it. They'll give you their honest opinion. So if you're curious and want to say, hey, I would like to talk to some other people that are not biased like me, you can just join our forums and you can just ask them directly.
Awesome. And I'm sure Roshni or Freek will share those links and everything, and they will be in the description of this video.
Of course. Thanks for having us, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much for having us.
Welcome to the other side of the podcast, where I just close out with some of my own personal thoughts. I think the Hable One is a great little device. To be honest, it's kind of on the expensive side, but if you use Braille input a lot, and I know some people don't like Braille or don't agree that Braille is still really relevant because we have screen readers and AI and all of this, but I am firmly in the belief that Braille is definitely still something that's very valuable. It's like writing and reading, and I can't tell you how many people have commented, how many stories have been shared with me, from voc rehab counselors to teachers of the visually impaired, TVIs, to just people who use Braille, and they say that Braille input, they're faster using Braille input than a QWERTY keyboard, which totally just blows my mind because I'm still a novice Braille reader and Braille writer. But I think that's amazing. And definitely typing using a virtual keyboard, whether you're using a screen reader or a screen magnifier on a smartphone, is a challenge, and it can be really frustrating, and you don't want to use dictation all the time because you know, dictation is not that great. You know it's going to make mistakes. The other day I was answering a comment and some person said, oh, how does she see these comments? And I actually ended up calling my sister and asking ChatGPT, how can I be snarky and sassy while still educating and being nice? So with the help of my sister, Gwen GPT, she helped me come up with this reply saying, whenever somebody comments, it automatically sends an email or a message to my brain. And then I said something educational, and I said something like, actually, there's a lot of accessibility features and settings built into smartphones and computers, so anybody who's blind can use any of these products, something like that. But the thing is, I used dictation. I was using NVDA at the time. And I was using Windows 11 dictation, and I didn't catch it. I felt pretty proud of myself. And so I posted it and shared it on my Discord server, the Carrie on Accessibility Discord server, which you guys should definitely join. You're all welcome. And one of the members, you know who you are, Molly, pointed out and said, who's Brian? I'm like, what do you mean, Brian? What do you mean, who's Brian? And I went back and checked my messages and checked what I wrote, and it said, it automatically sends a message to my Brian. There I was trying to be all smart, and it totally backfired, but oh well. Going back to my point, Braille input is still such a really beneficial method. I've heard a lot of podcasts and people who contribute to those podcasts and share their experiences with Braille input and just being able to type in Braille, whether it's on a Braille display or a Hable or Braille screen input or anything like that. And for me, as somebody who's still kind of practicing, learning, I don't know if I'll ever get good at it, but typing Braille on with physical buttons is always just so much easier than on a flat screen, touch screen. And I've used Braille screen input, but I feel that I can be so much faster, better, more efficient with physical buttons. And the Hable One provides that in a small little form factor. And also, I would definitely prefer to bring the Hable One versus like a large Bluetooth keyboard. It's also really nice to be able to navigate a smartphone just using buttons, though I will say I use that less. And I think that though they market it more as a smartphone controller, that may be more for people that have other challenges or are kind of like me that just like buttons. My favorite part of the interview was really hearing that process and how they started with duct taping it to the back of a phone. That's amazing. At least they listen. It's definitely a lot better when companies listen to their customers and listen to feedback. Nothing without us. Remember, nothing without us. That's it for now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Epic A11y Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you in the next episode.